Welcome to Moving with Meaning and to another episode in our Inner Sunshine series. I'm your host, Krystal. Today's theme is all about freedom to lead, unshackling from limiting beliefs. As leaders, we often talk about breaking barriers, disrupting industries, challenging the status quo, but what about the barriers inside us? Today, we're going to talk about the internal narratives that keep us playing small, stories that hold us back from stepping fully into our leadership potential, and more importantly, how to release them so you can lead unbound. Well, we discussed being unbothered previously, but the truth is some things do bother us. To the point where we create a version of the world that is just not reality. So this episode is called Unbound. In this episode, we'll explore a few objectives. Common limiting beliefs that block leadership potential, a 3-step reflection to rewrite personal narratives, replacing self-doubt with liberating truths. This episode is about recognizing those internal scripts, challenging them, and rewriting them so you can lead with authenticity, courage, and impact. Honestly, true freedom to lead doesn't come from permission others grant you. It comes from the beliefs you choose to hold about yourself. So let's dive in and learn how to unshackle from those limiting beliefs, step into our full potential, and lead unbound. Real leadership isn't just about managing teams or delivering results. It's about confronting the stories we tell ourselves that keep us playing small. Too often, we're held back by quiet but powerful narratives. I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. People like me don't do things like this. These aren't truths. They're limits we've accepted. Recognizing those limiting beliefs for what they are, outdated scripts you no longer have to follow, is the beginning to unshackling your mind so you can show up fully, unapologetically, and powerfully you. Well, that certainly was a mouthful, but indeed relatable and empowering. Not to mention that we're at that point where we're actually having to become aware and admit some things that we truly do have flaws. And that's fine. We're not perfect. So we're constantly working and putting in practices that help us continue to grow, continue to improve, and learn more about being that better version of ourselves. So let's talk about why this is just frankly so critical, so important, so deeply important. Here are 3 transformative benefits of releasing limiting beliefs. Number 1, unlocks your true potential. When you drop self-imposed limits, you make room for bold ideas, courageous decisions, and authentic leadership. Yeah, you know what? I really like that because it's the truth. We tend to put limits on ourselves, and not because maybe someone didn't tell us, but maybe it's a reaction. So for me, this may have been, hey, I'm not going to speak up too often in rooms with certain individuals because, well, frankly, the fact that I know a certain amount of things can bring a level of insecurity to those individuals who are in positions where they should know what I know already. And you know what? That's just not me. And it shows when I'm quiet. And actually, it plays worse in the aspect where you're just sitting in your room, you're quiet, and you're accepting things when you know, and those around you know and value your input, but you just don't give it. And you create a justification and rationale why you staying quiet is for the best. Those are limits. And when you remove that, boy, the ideas that you have, the creativity that you didn't even think was possible living inside you comes bursting out. Number 2, builds genuine confidence. You stop second guessing yourself and start trusting your unique strengths and voice. I think it's very important to really highlight the term here, voice. Yeah, I think second guessing is going to happen here and there, and that's all about when you come into new experiences that you haven't been before, and you're kind of assessing the different routes and reactions and plays that you want to take. And this could be you interacting with someone that you've heard negative things about. So you're obviously going in there very guarded, very careful. And so you kind of trying to fill this person out. So that can also happen as well. And that's unfortunate because it's unfortunate, but it's also important. When I tell you that your reputation precedes you, you can't have a reputation of extreme negativity and condescending attitude and comments and then present yourself as something other than that, especially to someone who's meeting you for the first time. So, and again, you can, right? But the thing is, if you present yourself and introduce yourself as someone who's collaborative, who works well with others and things of that nature, and then as you continue to involve and engage with this person and that experience is not coming through based off of what you said, you start to live up to that reputation. So I think it's really important to talk about breaking the barriers. Look at when you're second guessing yourself to kind of pick your battles, but also don't be afraid to speak up and use your voice. I've always said, and my mother said this, but it's not what you say, it's just how you say it. And that is incredibly true. I'm working on it, but you know what? I think, like I said, 98% of the people that I conversate with get me, okay? And they're not offended with the way that I speak, but there's that 2% that does, and it's always frustrating, right? Because I'm thinking, man, why do I have to change just to speak to this one person out of the majority of people that I actually interact with and choose to be in my life? Well, there are certain scenarios, but again, like I said, if you limit yourself to the conversation and interaction with that individual, it doesn't hit as hard or as home. It doesn't mean that just because you have to change the words that you're using, that you're being any less authentic. It's just that you're fluid, you're adaptable, and we get that. And lastly, number 3, inspires others. When you lead free of old stories, you give your team permission to do the same. You model what's possible. Now that I love, right? And this is something that we, again, are going to continue to tap in throughout this series, as we did in the mid-year series or mid-year reset series, which is about leading and modeling leadership, right? We want to ensure and for sure demonstrate what great leadership is. And by doing that, you actually tell your team, without actually directly telling them, that you too can do this. This is your world just as much as I value just as much as anyone else does. And you do get those same freedoms, if you will, to really be bold and be great, be free. Okay. And that's what we want to do. Is it's all about self-discovery. Okay. And that internal narrative we want to break and rewrite. Now, I want to do this real quick. And this one is actually going to be fun. Okay. I'm going to tell you this right now. I got 4 examples today, 2 professional and 2 personal real world examples. And I think you're going to like them. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into it and make it real with these examples. So professional scenario number 1, you're in a meeting and have a great idea, but you tell yourself, I'm not senior enough to share. So you stay quiet. Now, if we go and say we're going to release the narrative of that, because some people have that, so we want to give you a little bounce, okay, a little lead into how you would rewrite that narrative. So you challenge that belief by asking, who decided my experience has no value here? Now you speak up and your input shifts the entire discussion. I love that. And I think, you know what, to be honest with you, it's a little sassy with it. I like that. It's one of those things where the moment that I start to have that doubt and I go, I immediately say, wait a minute, who said I can't do it? Right? Who said that I don't have value here? Because right now, all it is me that's saying this. I didn't hear this from anyone else. And even if someone is constantly on me, and I've had that, right, where I'm like, there are people, like I told you, love to critique, and they will critique just to critique it, right? It's easier for them to say, oh, you should do this better, maybe that's not right, instead of them just saying, hey, good job. That is a difficult term and phrase for certain people who just are solutionists and strategists, right? Because they're geared to look for problems, right? And they're not geared to accept when there aren't any. And it's almost unbelievable because usually there are, but when there aren't any, it's just okay to just say good job, right? So change those inner narratives, right? It's your choice, but you got to call them out first. Now, personal Professional scenario number 2. You want to apply for a promotion, but think, I don't have every qualification on the list, so you don't even try. Now, to release that narrative, you replace it with, I'm capable of learning and growing in the role. So you apply anyway. And even if you don't get it this time, you've proven you're willing to go for it. Now that's incredibly empowering, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. When I look at job descriptions or any promotions or anything like that, and I always tell you guys, like, my biggest thing is if you want to be in a role, the next role above you, start demonstrating that you're capable of doing that, okay? You may not have all the boxes marked, but you have enough to say, I can be successful and I can grow into it, right? And, I think that's really about you believing that. And we've done these things before. I mean, frankly, once you come out of college or you have your first job, you've never done it before. That's why they call it entry level, okay? And so you're gaining experience. Well, that happens when you go into a new industry, when you go into a new company, when you set off on your own. These are all learnings, okay? And baptism of fire. And that's how you do it. It's just you live life freely and in real time, all right? So make sure you know that you've got what it takes and you've proven that even if you don't get it, you're willing to do it and nothing's gonna stop you. All right, that is all professional scenarios. Let's dip into personal scenarios and starting with number 1. You've been invited to speak at a community event, but immediately think, I'm not a real expert, so you decline. Listen, we want to release that narrative, so we'll do it like this. You recognize that expertise is earned through experience and perspective. So you accept the invitation and make a real impact by showing up as your authentic self. Yes, I just said it before, but I love how these just keep building on each other with different examples, doubling down on this bad boy, okay? And the message, right? So at the end of the day, yeah, sometimes I'm not gonna lie, when I get reached out to speak or be a guest or do anything, I'm thinking like, why would they even come and talk to me? Like, I haven't been doing this for so long. Then after a while, I start to stop that and I say, well, maybe I've been doing it a while, but I haven't been doing it on the classic and traditional platform that everyone recognizes as that. But I've been doing it, and then one of these things is about me speaking, okay? So I've been speaking since I was in junior high, like 7th, 8th grade, right? I've been chosen to speak and read poetry, and into high school, I continued to speak at different events at my school and programs and clubs. I went into college, did poetry readings, stood up in front of classes and speaking, and then I got into work and my career, and now I became like a facilitator. I was asked to speak on several different occasions with clients and all these things. Those are valid experiences and those are speaking experiences. It's just not in a televised public form that we normally associate public and professional speaking with. But those are still valuable and they go right up on your resume. And at the end of the day, if somebody's reaching out to you, you've already made the impact. You've already caught them. You just need to go do it, baby. All right, personal scenario number 2. You dream of starting your own business, but your inner voice says, people like me don't do things like that. So you never start. Well, let's release that narrative. So you reframe it with, people like me can do this, and I'll prove it by taking the first step. I really enjoyed that one. I can't be more enthusiastic about this because each one of these speaks to me at different moments in my life, at different levels and growth opportunities and milestones that I've hit. I mean, they're all around me, okay? And yes, I've had this experience where I wanted to start my own business. I was like, man, I ain't got the time. Oh, I'm an introvert. I ain't gonna be able to network and talk to nobody and things like that. And so I just never even tried. Okay, I basically already said I was going to fail without even stepping out the door, right? And that's the thing is once you take the first step, right? Like, let's say there's 10 steps. You take step number 1. Don't look at it as, wow, I'm still far off from step 10. But the thing is that you've already started. So completing step 1 makes step 2 that much easier and attainable. And next thing you know, you're so close to 10, you didn't even realize it because you've been enjoying the journey as it has been progressing and picked up a lot of experience and growth opportunities along the way. You just need to play it back. I love it. And I think everyone is capable of this. I know it is true, right? Sometimes we just need that little edge, that little push. All right. And listen, these shifts aren't just words that I'm putting out here to you. I mean, frankly, they're liberation. Isn't that something? Freedom, right? And because when you change the story you tell yourself, you change what you allow yourself to do. So to me, this leadership really starts from the inside out. I love it. It's beautiful, 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 beautiful. Like I said, I can believe that you're capable of it, but you've got to tell yourself. I mean, listen, self-talk is a beast, right? So if it's positive self-talk or negative self-talk, you got to figure out which one it is. One limits you, and the other one, baby, it makes you better than what you ever could have imagined. All right, let's keep going with why do we struggle to let these narratives go? I mean, I just rattled off, it's been 10 minutes at least going over all the benefits and the examples that hopefully you can relate to and giving you different strategies and ways and examples to kind of rewrite those narratives. But Jesus, why do I have to do it? Let's talk about it a little bit. So why do we hold on to these narratives? Well, but here's a few reasons on those which you can probably relate to. So the first one is familiarity. They're comfortable. We know them, even if they hurt us. At the end of the day, and I told you guys before this, I really was obsessed with control because if I went in, I kind of just knew what the outcome would be and I was prepared for it. So even if I knew that this narrative wasn't gonna go, it was a feeling of familiarity for me. It was like, I've been through it before and I know I can get back up. So I'm gonna keep, it's almost like you're okay with keep knocking yourself down because, hey, I know how to get up. Listen, that gets tired. That's fatiguing, right? Mentally and emotionally. And it starts to wear you to a point where it's like you're going to go down and you're going to forget how to get back up, or even worse, you're not going to even want to. So really start changing that narrative and be comfortable, uncomfortable until that uncomfortable becomes well known to you. All right. Next one is fear of failure. If we try, we might prove the story wrong or right. That risk feels so scary. I know, even the idea of just the word risk is about that. But we have something called risk mitigation in IT, which is basically where we say, hey, here is the risk, and this is how we would mitigate it or handle it if it actually happened, right? So we're actually already prepared, but sometimes we're kind of like, well, I think it's going to happen, and what if it doesn't happen? What do I do then? Like, whoa, I was so pessimistic about it and none of that even happened. So it's kind of fear of saying, hey, I really think this is not going to work, right? And then be proven wrong that it actually does. Whoa, this is a position that I didn't feel myself being in because now it shows I'm successful. Or maybe I am right. And it's kind of like being right on something that you knew would go wrong doesn't always feel great either. So let's look at things, and again, always look for the benefit in each one of those scenarios. Last one is conditioning. Family, culture, past experiences taught us what was realistic or appropriate. Very true. Yes, it did. So there are certain things that we just kind of grow up either in our family dynamics, in our culture, or just even religion, okay? And just, if anything, just experience, just being out there living life. And if you've been living in everything that, like something that's familiar with it, this scenario is really familiar with you, you've just kind of said, look, it ain't gonna go out this way, right? And then we just kind of say, this is just something that I know just isn't gonna work. But sometimes it may not be working in a way because you've already been conditioned to believe it, right? So maybe try to challenge those thoughts. Remember, I told you guys we're going to get into this 3-step approach, but we want to challenge those types of practices, those types of narratives, and those types of thoughts, and replace it with something that's more progressive, more appropriate, more proactive, more positive. All right. So that leads us right into shifting into these strategies in a 3-step point into reshaping that narrative within you. Okay, so here are the 3 simple, but very powerful steps. Number 1, spot the story. When you feel resistance or fear, ask, what am I telling myself right now? That's so important, because you know what? That takes into account of pausing, right? It's about pausing and saying, whoa, I've been asked to do something. Why am I scared now? And I remember that. I remember feeling scared to be chosen to be a part of a team or a group. And I'm thinking, like, why would you even choose me? I haven't even been saying nothing. Well, no, maybe I have been saying something and it's been meaningful to that person. And they want to give me a place and a platform for that to be spread out because they believe in me. So you need to do the same thing yourself, right? But first thing first is to spot that story of what you are telling yourself in the moments of resistance or fear, okay? The second step is to challenge it. Yes, ask, is this always true? Who would I be without this belief, right? So if you say, is this always true? And you're like, no, not really. Well, if I didn't believe myself to be inexperienced, who would I be? What would that look like? And is that who I want to be? Well, that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to be. Okay, drop that bad boy belief and let's get to getting it. Okay? And the last one is replace it. Create a liberating truth. So instead of, I'm not ready, try, I'm learning every day, and that's enough. Because it truly is. You belong, and all you can do is your best. Now, here's the thing about giving your best. For some people, it may not be enough, and that is fine. Right? They need to just move on and go with somebody else who they want to have that role, right? Or want to be working with. Because sometimes, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm giving my all. I'm doing everything. I'm performing, I'm succeeding, I'm getting all these accolades, people are getting credit for all this other stuff, but they still, for some reason, do not care for me. Okay? And so it doesn't even matter when you give above and beyond and abundantly, right? It's just for some reason the personalities are just clashing, and whatever it is, it may just be that your time or their time with this relationship or with that company or whatever has kind of, run its course, and that's okay as well. All right. So at the end of the day, those are liberating truths, right? We don't want to keep holding on to things that keep us trapped and shrinking. We ain't doing all that. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode, because I certainly did. I was certainly passionate and excited about it. Hopefully you could tell in my face and my voice, and hopefully I wasn't tripping over my words too much, right? Because I'm so excited. But I want to leave you with definitely a motivating message to carry on with you for today and the rest of the week. All right. You see, leadership isn't about influencing others. It's about liberating yourself first. It's about refusing to let old narratives decide how big you're allowed to dream, speak, or lead. So today, I challenge you to get curious about your stories, rewrite the ones that keep you small, and choose the ones that set you free. Because freedom isn't just external, it starts in the mind. Keep moving with meaning. Yeah, hey, look, I enjoyed that last motivating message. I mean, I enjoyed it writing it, and I enjoyed speaking it back to you. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed keeping it and hearing it. So put that in your pocket right there and pull it out anytime you want it. Okay, as a reminder, if you want more of me that delve into deeper topics, check out my podcast, Moving With Me in the Podcast. I'm on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Music. Check out my website, movingwithmeaning.com. Also, if you are interested in my path to emotional resilience, I wrote my business memoir that takes you on my 8-year journey in a tough, competitive environment. You can find it on Amazon by the title Embrace the Code, Cultivating Emotional Resilience in a Tough IT Culture. Here is my graphic with all of my social media connections. Hit your girl up or just follow along. Maybe something will just pop out at you. Also, if you are particularly inspired by any of my conversations or episodes and think this would be a good match for your next event, I am your gal, buckle sister. Or you're interested in converting this into a workshop, I got you covered. Yes, I teach. Perhaps this is right in line with your own experience and want to partner with me to add a bit more oxygen to that spark. I'm your coach. Maybe finding the right words for your own memoir or ebook has y'all balled up in knots. Well, I told y'all I love writing. I'm the ghostwriter that can put your thoughts and ideas to the paper. If any of those strike your interest and you just want to talk opportunities, hey, talking about it today. Take that first step and book me completely free using this QR code. All right, I enjoyed today. I love the lasting messages, and hopefully you and I can link up. You can follow me on different social media platforms, and we can keep this thing rolling and moving. Share to anyone that you know who could use this message, a little motivation, TLC. All right, my gift to you, your gift to someone else that believes in you. All right, until next time, as always, just keep moving.